So we're running the 2025 user group here in London. Part of the user group is really to enable the customers to have a better understanding of the direction of travel of our technology and our company. But it's also, more importantly for us, to gather information from our customers and work through those so that we turn those challenges into opportunities for them and we solve their problems around decentralized spend management.
Meeting with customers and having the opportunity to directly hear their feedback, a clear picture of what works for them, but also what needs to be adjusted and tweaked, a moment where we can effectively reflect on our roadmap, what we've been developing, and also the future.
Hello, and well, thanks again for your time here. Strategy and visions are big words. The reality is it's in a way much simpler than that, and you could just replace this with one word, that is value, and the creation of value for you. So the strategy and the vision is how we can achieve that, and in order to make it in the maximum, in the best way possible, and to achieve the maximum result, we need to work together on this. So why do we exist? We basically exist, and this is the definition, this is the mission of the company. We exist in order to solve the problem of decentralized spend, because it's a big problem. It exists in many companies, sometimes bigger, sometimes less. But every single company has this concept of, I can easily identify a few things, I can easily get on top of them by centralizing, bring it back to me and managing them. But there is always a long tail of a lot of other things that exist in the organization in many different places, many different involving many different other people within the same company. At times that I do not control. In many cases, I need to just react to what is happening in order to bring the business forward. It's complex and it's messy, and we exist for this. I mean, there are other companies that exist to solve other problems that you have. We are very happy, and the important thing is to have a clear identity. This is our own reason to exist. And to the extent you have this kind of problem, and well, I would say if you are here, probably it is part of your life. We want to be doing this with you, because we want to be a partner that sits alongside you and understand the pain. Only by understanding your pain we can build a solution. Normally, you are used to see software companies, and of course, by means, we are a software company. We'll talk about a lot of things that has exactly that as the center. The cloud infrastructure, the thing you see through the web app and the mobile app, and that's typical of software companies. But one very important thing is that we have a dual DNA, because for the specific problem of decentralized spend, software manages information, manages decisions of people in terms of sharing the information about the decision. But then this thing end up in a place. That place is the moment where you do the payment. The payment means moving money, accessing money, transferring money outside the company. That's a work for a financial service institution. And in your normal world, you have your ERP where you have all the information about your business, but that's just data. And then you have banks in which you have all the money and you do all the movements pertaining to your business, and that's just money. And one doesn't really talk to the other, or it's up to you to make sure they talk to one each other. And certainly when you get to your bank relationship manager and you start talking about what are the challenges of the processes of something that relates to finance and accounting or the ERP, probably you lost them in the first 30 seconds. So in the centralized spend, because this thing is so distributed, it's very, very hard to separate those two things. And to achieve the maximum efficiency, we need to bring together the software side, meaning the information and the decision-making and the communication between humans about what should happen, and once something has happened, what I do with it, and the payment itself, the access to the company money. That is the thing I am deciding how to control, and the thing that I can make it available for my user to execute, so the payment. Because if I centralize everything, I die because I create an enormous bottleneck. So we are a software company, and everything we do is about this governance, execution, and control and management of payments. And then the payment themselves, that we are not asking somebody else to do, but we do. We have built a bank. Well, actually, to work in Europe and the UK nowadays, we've built two banks with the explicit purpose, and whose only reason to exist is to supply the underlying financial services and payment infrastructure to what you do. Those banks, now technically speaking, they are not full banks because we don't do lending. We do payments, so they are another thing called an electronic money institution or a payment institution, but it's not relevant. Those entities exist only for you. And this is important because we own the control of end-to-end the problem. So we can have governance and execution in the same place. You can talk with the same person for both the problems of the software and the problems of the financial services and the transaction. We can connect directly and in real time the transactions into accounting, because it's not that a bank knows a payment has been done and then an ERP need to know about it. We are the same thing, the bank and the ERP, not your ERP. I mean, the same level of software. And the other important thing is our bank is meant for you. So if there is something that is needed, it's our job not just to innovate on the software side, but innovate on the financial services side. Now, you all know that financial services are subject to a lot of rules. We are not going to be changing in any way those rules. Like any other player in that industry, we are subject to very strict rules and regulations. But within those, we don't need to standardize on something else and then that's what you can get. You can get a card that has been designed for 20 million customers of a bank to do their own grocery shopping, and it happens that it's the same card that's available to you to do your own thing. Perhaps your needs are very different from those consumers, but a normal bank will build a product for those 20 million, not for the few who have a different need. We only exist for those few, so our product can be what you need even on the financial services side. So this is another important point. So what are we going to do? What we are trying to do, meaning creating value for you. A big strategy now boils down into the playbook. What we want to do is understand with you the challenge. What are your challenges? What are your organizational issues? What is the structure of what you do? Who are the teams? Who are the people? Who are the relationship between them? Who report to whom? Not because we are interested or curious about the organization, but guess what? If you know that the way the organization is built, very probably you can derive that the person is going to be the one approving a request to buy something, and the person is going to be the one reviewing the expenses and all that. Then we want to sit alongside you and design the strategy that can help you. A lot of our work is transform the way we do this from a sort of informal. The best way you got was emerged out of your experience over a certain period of time of putting together various pieces to solve the problem. And I mean, the centralized spend is being managed. It's not that the companies are holding their breath until we arrive. It is managed in a very inefficient way. Sometimes inefficient because it creates a lot of work, sometimes inefficient because it creates a lot of risks that are not properly managed. We are here to say those things that are what you need for the business to go on can be done in a different way. Let's see. and let's analyze what are the ways. And then we create that, having studied, like for you, it can be the relationship, many other customers, many industries, many verticals, and many what we call spend domains that are big aggregation of use cases. Travel and entertainment is a big spend domain with a lot of other pieces, as well as a world of operational spend that is very, very different. And then what could be departmental, what could be procurement. So we design the strategy with you, then that thing, well, we design a strategy that can be implemented, otherwise it would be a little futile. So we create the strategy because then we can implement it in the platform through the right configuration of our software platform that is very flexible. So it can do a lot of different things. And so we can shape it in the way that creates the solution for you, as well as supporting you with the experts. So our professional services can build a bridge where there is a gap. Everything we can do with our platform is probably the most complex part and true for all the customers, but you can have your own peculiar specific requirements. It could be a piece of business logic. It could be an integration with a specific platform in the ecosystem of your company. Then we are there to support you in this last mile. And then capturing this knowledge and making it available back to the community of all the users. So once we've done this, it's not just done for somebody somewhere and that information is only there. It's then shared. Out of that experience, we create the roadmap of the platform, because you say something, because today you say something, or you will say something in a breakout session, tomorrow a piece of the platform will take a different direction in its development because you gave us an input. But the other thing is also this experience is brought back so that the next time we sit down with you, we can say, yes, that problem, we've seen it. And actually, we've even solved it actually in two different ways, because that company, they had the thing, but also preferred to do things in a certain way, and that other one solved the same thing in a different way. Which one would be best for you? Perhaps a third that we will then add to our playbook, and that playbook and best practices will be made available. Also, we'll create benchmarks that will allow you to say, am I doing well, or other people are being more efficient? Are they doing the same thing with less steps, and so the number of hours stolen to my employees are less, or they can manage more volume with less people in the organization. So it's a continuous partnership that evolves and can only exist if we work together. So basically, this is the message. If you have a problem, we want it to be our own problem. Out of that, we can then help you rethink the way you do things, the way you design your processes, and also help you go through the challenges. All of you are here, and then you will have your own challenges, and there will be somebody from audit saying, what is this thing? And there will be somebody, your chief security officer will come and saying, what about the security of the login in that platform, or whatever else. We are here to help you on those things as well. Create the best processes and give you the tools to be successful with your own internal users. That you are the champion that need to solve the problem and become the white knight within your organization. The one giving them the ability to do what is good for business at the lowest cost and the lowest friction possible, but without renouncing, because there is a number of other stakeholders that will be very, very keen to make sure of this, without renouncing to control and governance done in the proper way. Because it's not just a software project, as we said. Sometimes the solution lies in the way we can tune up the bank for your needs, but mostly because it's a strategic transformation enabled by digital platforms and digital tools, but ultimately it's all about humans. And in order to solve the problem with humans, you need other humans, and we are here to do that. So I now bring this into a level of reality. A lot of words, what I said, nice concepts. Now, what it boils down to is that button on the top right, because I wanted it there instead of in the bottom left. Well, that's the product roadmap that you're going to see about this year.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Carlo, for the introduction. It's nice to be here and to see you all. And I really hope that through this presentation, you will recognize some of the feedback that you have given to us last year. Before we start with the update of the roadmap, I just wanted to give you a brief introduction to the world of the roadmap and how we basically build it. And those are the key principles or even pillars that we try to keep in our minds to take decisions and trying to steer the direction of the product that mixes up and combines with the feedback of our users, so you all. We really want to create a platform that can empower everyone in the company. We really aim to the possibility of everyone having a Soldo card in their pockets, because it's actually the most easiest thing to do when comes to pay for something that you have to do in your business. And it's quite unfair most of the times to ask one of the employees just to pay out of their pockets. So this is something that we really aim for. We also think that we are here to be a partner of you, be really a symbiotic element of your company. And for this reason, we aim to mirror, first of all, the organization within Soldo, so that you can effectively recognize yourself into Soldo and vice versa. So that's why we are quite keen in trying to understand the teams, the structures, the workflows, as also Carlo was mentioning. And at the same time, we recognize that, yes, we aim to have everyone with a Soldo card, but at the same time, we recognize that, well, there should be some control. Obviously, everyone should be told how to use properly the card and not abuse. And it's really important for us to reduce that burden of continuous repetitive actions with automation. And also, we really want to give visibility of everything that is happening within the company, with the business, with the company's money, and therefore trying to give as much as possible back the value of everything that is spent and how it's been spent and from whom and in which way. So that's more responsibly and even more intelligently in your company, funds can be allocated properly to the right projects. And last but not least, we also know that we are just a part of the chain, and therefore we really want to be embedded into your ecosystem. So we are not really here to completely disrupt your way of working. Yes, we want to work with you to understand how to better create efficiency in your companies, but at the same time, we want to really fit within your company together with all of your existing platforms. So those are the key principles that we follow when thinking about what to build and how to build the platform of Soldo. I'm here today also to give you an update of what we've been doing in the past few months and also give you some anticipation of what's next. So the way of building these first 6 months of 2025 was really leaning on your feedback that we got in October, November, and it was really, really precious for us. In fact, I believe that in here you will be able to actually recognize a lot of it. The first topic is about delegated spend. So the concept of delegation is a key, important and critical element of of the Soldo platform since the very beginning. So we started with the cards with the ambition of giving a card to every employee in the company. And in the previous session of with some of you, basically we got also the push to extend this delegation to bank transfers. So we have always had the thoughts of yes, we should do something about trying to unburden the admin to be just a single controller of all the payments going through bank transfers, but we never really got the courage to do that. And thanks to you, well, we received that push that was needed in order to enter into this adventure and navigate this problem. The other topic is about T&E. So it's one of the key spend domain that the Soldo platform wants to tackle. So the vast majority of our customers use us because of T&E, because they have people that are traveling around. And we took the opportunity, thanks to your feedback again, to tweak and make some changes that enhance the experience further. And last but not least, the topic of the platform is quite key because it's underlying all the possibilities. It's the enabler of the entire all the scenarios and all the use cases that we support. In fact, in the platform, we basically package all the possibility of configurations of the different use cases. We package the operations of our platform, like managing cards and renewals, but even compliance and security are part of that topic. Now, getting a little bit more into the details of each theme. So, as I mentioned before, the bank transfer access is what we've been cooking and preparing for the past 6 months. And it's basically that capability that will allow an admin to safely give any employee the possibility to make bank transfers on their behalf. So for the first time, the admin will be able to set up the right framework of governance that will allow any employee to say, okay, I need to pay a list of suppliers, I need to pay exactly this amount of money, and the admin will be quite sure that all the different limits will be strictly applied and no funds will be used in excess. And with this, we have also packaged the possibility to both give this access to single individuals, but also shared group of people. And the way of thinking this feature is also in the same way as we manage cards. So there is a very simple parallelism between the two means of payment. So in the same fashion that we can distribute the cards to everyone, that can make sure, thanks to the rules that we have in place and the workflows that are governing the usage of it, in the same way, bank transfers can be given through the accesses to it. Then we have a small section onto T&E that's focused on quite an important step, once again, into delegation, but also into trying to ease and the process of business trips. So a lot of the time, people that are continuous and frequent spender are today using our cards because, well, they need it, and they need it all the time. But if we really want to get to the point where everyone can have their own cards, and also to give the peace of mind to the admins that, well, everyone can have their cards in their pockets, how can we do that? We should find a way to communicate that when you need a card, card, you can actually use it, but in the proper way. And therefore, we have created this feature of business trips. Whenever a user an employee needs to go somewhere, they can simply raise a request detailing all the kind of expenses that they need to do, like they will have to pay for their flights, they will have to pay for their meals, etc. They can fill in everything into the request that will be orderly created, and then it will effectively go into the queue of the administrators or the managers that will have to approve that request. And in this way, basically the moment that the trip will start, the users will get the funds that they will need it. But also we have accommodated this feature to work for also companies that are effectively into managing the booking of the flights and the hotels centrally. So this feature can accommodate also the possibility to just request for incidental spends, so the ones that are happening effectively during the trip, which most likely are meals, I would say. Also into the world of T&E, we have included some tweaks to the workflows and the navigational structure of the platform in order to make it clear to the people using it that there is a list of transactions that they need to review. There is a list of transactions that is in the hands of the people that are effectively reviewing. So trying to capture all the different levels of approval into a single screen. But also we have worked to close the loop of T&E and the loop of transaction and reconciliation. We worked on an SAP Concur integration. As I was saying before, one of our pillars is to be embedded into your ecosystem. We recognize that a lot of companies are using Concur as their partner for managing expenses, and therefore we have finally signed a partnership with Concur, and we've been certified to be one of their official partners, and we are on their App Center. So it's really a great opportunity for us. And then last but not least topic for this past 6 months has been some work onto our platform. So we really done a lot to make our platform more stronger and to work better for your needs. Specifically, we looked into the possibility to enlarge the number of users that can become super admins. So before that was a practice that had to go through several steps, and you had to raise a ticket to Soldo in a way to understand whether we could or not, and pass through the hoops and loops of our risk and compliance in order to pass the KYC checks. Well, we have taken all of that and embedded into our platform so that this process is finally self-service. We have made some improvements on the security of the platform. We had quite a strong commitment to make the platform safe from fraudsters and cyber threats, and therefore we also included into this update some more messages and trying to get more visibility onto these threats so that you can be more aware of what's happening and not to be phished by threats outside. We have also developed a single sign-on feature that was launched last year at the back of last year for the web application, and for this Q1 we have also extended it to be part of the mobile devices. Another feedback that we got last year was related to data export. As you may know, we have basically our product full of tables. We have a list of transactions, a list of users, a list of cards, a list of pretty much anything. And we used to have multiple components, UI components managing this whole list of things. And one of your feedback was that you wanted those lists to be exportable. You wanted this list to be more, in a way, simpler, unified in terms of behaviors, and that was exactly what we did. So we took all the different tables that we have spread into our platform, and we consolidated them into a single component, so that from everywhere now you'll be able to export all the data that you will see in the tables, so from users to cards to transactions in this similar fashion. And you will also be able to save views of anything that you are looking at, and this will incredibly increase the efficiency of doing operations. For example, if you want to look at all the cards that are expiring, you will be able to create a view based on all the cards that are expiring and go back to that every time that you want. In the same way, you could do you could work on the users and trying to understand which users has which role and has what visibility on what. So once again, you could save that view and come back to it later on. We continuously work on the organizational group mapping. That is quite an important pillar of Soldo, and therefore it keeps getting our attention. So we keep tweaking the way of organizing the teams, structuring hierarchies, and also trying to understand the level of permissions that are the right ones for each group and each team. So we kept thinking and refining the logic there. As well as we've been working on some continuity tools that are connected to the expense management. So in order to avoid blockages during your processes and works, we have developed a feature that is called out of office, so that in any point in time, if any employee needs to go away for their time off, there is the possibility to nominate another user that on their behalf we take care of any kind of workflow, so reviewing transactions or approving expenses. At the same time, we also put a new reminder feature for the reviewers. So not just employees needs to be reminded about what they need to do with the transactions, and so adding receipts or invoices and any other piece of information that is useful for reconciliation and financial controlling, but also reviewers needs to have that little push to do their job and make sure that they are always on top to avoid delays into the chain towards accounting. Last but not least, we have also some card address management. So as I was mentioning before, the card renewal process can be quite messy, can be quite difficult to understand when things are happening, especially if you have a big company and a lot of cards to deal with. So even in this case, we try to simplify the process by unifying the components and managing the addresses, and also giving you more options to really understand where your cards are getting to and what's next. So so far we've been talking about the work that we did for the past 6 months, but now I want to also give you a sneak peek of the next 6 months and the delivery that we are committed to make for you. We have identified once again four pillars, and the first one is about scaling enterprise. So we have in our portfolio people using Soldo of quite different sizes. But we believe as we work together and we strengthen our partnership to really grow together. And in order to do that, again, as I mentioned before, we really committed to build the structural foundation of your payment infrastructure together. And therefore, we are thinking of all the features that can help, especially, again, during the definition of mapping your company into Soldo. There is a lot that can be said in there. And one of the key aspects is really trying to see yourself into Soldo. So we are creating a layer of semantics into the definition of the groups so that you can really find yourself reflected into Soldo. We have several companies dealing with media productions. We have several companies dealing with healthcare, several companies dealing with retail shops and restaurants. And so we are really trying to make the platform resonating immediately for you so that it can really be part of your company as it's your own. We are also working a lot on how to give you back the value of your spend. So all the transactions that you are generating through our platform are an important tool for you to generate insights within your business, because everything that you spend is most likely a representation of your needs. So paying suppliers for certain reasons, or going somewhere for a business trip for other reasons because there is a project X, Y, and Z. So all the transactions can be, in a way, given back to you in a way that we can give you an elaboration and an interpretation that can raise insights and for you to take actions. So we've been thinking of building what we internally call spend tracker, so that you can effectively look at every single user or a group of users or cards or wallets and trying really to understand where money is going and why money is going in that direction. Another very important topic is an hot one, especially in the last year. Artificial intelligence. So we've been cooking a lot and experimenting a lot about AI. There must be said that a lot has been said around about artificial intelligence, and we've been quite careful in managing this topic because it's really easy to be gimmicky. It's really easy to just create a mouthful of artificial intelligence, but then not creating really value. So right now we are trying to experiment and create different prototypes that we've been trying and testing related to different environments. The first one is about creating automation within the fulfilling of the information that are part of the transaction. So as of today, we request a lot of information to the employees to fill out, like it could be any kind of list, but also the accounting categories, and a lot of other information that instead can be easily extracted by the context that we might get even out of the repetition that has been your history of transactions. Another topic is about policy. We know that conveying policy within a company is quite a struggle. So employees, to be frank, are not really reading the company policy. So it's something where we would like to give a push and be helpful. So ingesting the policies within our platforms could be really helpful to give back an assistant, let's say, that can help with detailing the policies and effectively replying whether, well, I'm in London and I'm at this event, can I go back to my place using a taxi? Well, actually, no, my company policy doesn't allow it. And the assistant will give direction and properly making sure that the information is passed to the requester. Last but not least, we have also started to embark ourselves in a very adventurous and intriguing project that we internally call Surface. And it's the project where we really want to change the face of Soldo and to make it more consolidated and more consistent. It's such a great project that Alex, our head of product design, we talk more about it.
What I want to show you today is something that my team's been working on for a while, and as Daniele would say, cooking. And just everybody knows what product design does. We care about you guys. We care about how easy it is to use our product, how delightful it could be to actually log in and get what you need and get out quickly. That's what I care about, and that's why what I'm trying to do is to create something that's going to be more efficient for you, more delightful, and hopefully, I guess something that you're going to enjoy as well. So what I'm trying to do, what I want to show you today is Surface. Surface is our internal name for a refresh of our visual design. Now that sounds quite grand. Essentially it means we are reskinning or repainting some of the interface, and we're doing this because we want to make it quicker, easier and better for you guys. So I'm going to share some of that with you today. So why are we doing this? Well, not just for fun. It is a lot of fun, but also there's a reason behind it. We feel, and just, I guess, to give me a sense of how you guys feel, who uses the web app, this what I call this the web app, who uses that, let's say every week? Put your hands up, show of hands. Who uses it every day or so? Okay, mostly. So everyone's using it every day, including Soldo guys at the back, thank you. And this is a big change, right? What we want to do is to change the way that this looks and the way that this feels, the way this works to some extent, and I'll qualify that later, so that you get more out of the product, you get more out of the experience, you can do your jobs faster and quicker and better. That's the aim. Why we're doing it? Well, we think that there's room for improvement. We think that our current product, which is amazing, has grown organically, right? So it's grown, we've added bits on, we've put more and more things in there. That's great. We should be doing that. The product should grow. But somewhere along the line, and this often happens in products, is we've kind of lost a little bit of the consistency in the way that this product feels and the way that it looks. And so what we want to do is to try and address that and make it a little bit more consistent in the way that you actually operate and use this product, so that it's faster and quicker and easier for you. That's the goal. The customers, like you guys, struggle to find stuff and locate information. Now, we do a lot of surveys, we do a lot of feedback. Some of you guys might be in the sessions already, where we ask you these questions and we time you going through certain tasks, which sounds a lot of fun. But the point of doing that is to work out how easy and how efficient our interface is to use. And once it starts dipping, we try to fix it. So we're trying to fix it here and give you something that's a little bit easier and quicker to use. And obviously we're growing. So as Danny just showed us, we're cooking, I love that expression, cooking a lot of stuff. And the more we add into it, the more it all needs to work together. So if you like, it becomes a sum of its parts, but we have to then sometimes go back and think, okay, how are we best presenting all this information to you? So what are we doing? So we're doing a new visual design, which means new colors, fonts, icons, all that good stuff. It's going to be clearer layout. So a lot of the time in the current product, we find, and the customers, like you guys, tell us, okay, where is the information I need? There's a lot of information on that screen, but where is what I'm looking for? And we're trying to make sure that you've got the information you need at hand to do your job more quickly. That's the whole key of this. So we're going to create some clearer layouts for you guys and a more consistent experience, which sounds maybe a bit grand, but the experience is essentially what you guys see and feel when you use our product. Obviously, there's a lot of magic underneath that you don't see, but as far as you see, there's a screen and there's buttons on it and there's things you press. That's what we're trying to change for Surface. I spoke to some of you earlier this morning, and you said the product keeps changing. It's you guys, wasn't it? You do that. How are you going to make sure that this, well, you didn't say that to me, in my mind I think, well, how do we make sure that this doesn't just land on your desktop one day and something's different, you can't find stuff? Don't worry. My mission is to make your job easier, quicker, faster, right? That's why I'm here. We're going to roll this out very carefully, very consistently, very intentionally for you guys, probably in Q4 we're looking at Carlo here, so that we're not going to interrupt your workflow. Workflows aren't changing, it's just the look and the feel that's changing. So we're absolutely clear there shouldn't be too much of an interruption, I hope, guys, for your work. This should be something that makes you do your job quicker and faster. Again, this is just some screens here. Gone for a really clear, modern, kind of refresh, something that just looks like everything else, hopefully, that you use, but has a sprinkle of Soldo in it too. I believe that your time's precious, right? That you expect the same thing from Soldo, from your business app, than you do, on your phone, in your day-to-day. So recognizing that for us is important. We're trying to make this seamless, quick, and easy to use. That's really the goal. As I said, coming out in Q4 2025 this year. That's just stuff we've been doing before that. Don't worry about that. But now it's coming out, 24, and we should roll that out for your CSMs as well. So part of this is about you, or a lot of it's about you. We want early testers. Please do sign up. Give us your input. Look at it. Tell us what you like, what you don't like. Be honest. It doesn't matter. We want to get it right for you, not just for my ego, for you. Give us some feedback. What we can improve is really important. What works is great, but tell us what we can improve. That's really the key to making this thing better. When we're listening, this is about you, and it's about making sure that we've got the right design for you. So that's it. That's what I wanted to show you. Thank you very much. I'm going to hand over now, I think, to Manu.
The problem of decentralized spend is not just a problem of software, right? It's not just about the technology. It goes hand in hand with the processes that accompany the platform. And so there's a lot of emphasis internally about this, because really at the end of the day, that's what you see, right? The platform is an enabler. The processes is what your day-to-day is all about. So I'm going to talk to you, I'm lucky enough to talk to you about two topics. I'm going to start by doing just a bit of brief framing, which will serve as the foundation for the discussion. I think some of you will be familiar with it. Some of it may be new, but it's important background context. And then we have two topics to discuss today, which I will introduce in just a moment. So the first one is I want to recap a little bit this concept of decentralized spend. So this is our way, when we look at the spend that occurs within organizations, we like to cluster it into two main buckets. One is the world of centralized, which is highly concentrated spend, right? It's a low number of purchases and suppliers associated with it that are typically high in value, typically managed through contractual relationships, and typically managed through the playbook of procurement. This is the world of centralized, which I think all of you will know very well, and it can look very different depending on the organization. And then we've got another world, which is the world of decentralized, which is what we're going to talk about today, which is instead composed of everything else. The thousands of small purchases that are typically unplanned, typically urgent, and typically not managed through contractual relationships, right? They are just things that happen. And crucially, they are, one, distributed across the entire organization. They can pop up anywhere. They require the coordination of lots of people. But also importantly, they are just embedded in day-to-day operations. This is the spend that takes place and that is incurred in the course of doing business. This is the world of decentralized spend. And we have three main buckets for how we cluster spend use cases in this world: the world of business travel and entertainment, the world of operational spend, and the world of departmental spend. And some of the topics I'm going to talk to you about today connect very directly to these areas of spend. And the key with decentralized spend, or the key takeaway, our observation, the reason why we exist, is that there is no playbook for decentralized spend. The way organizations manage decentralized spend today involves a trade-off, always, right? The current tools, the processes, the payment tools that are available to organizations force organizations to either choose agility over control. That's one form of the trade-off. But this itself has negative consequences. This is what leads to unchecked spend, lack of accountability and visibility, compliance risks, overspend. Or they're forced to choose control over agility. But this also has negative consequences in the form of bottlenecks, rigid processes, things that hamper the business from doing its thing, right? So this is the status quo. Organizations, and sometimes the same organization, can fit both of these paradigms. And this can be a big cost, right? We've observed, speaking to many of you, but also to organizations outside of this group, that these things can have a real meaningful impact and can really hurt the business. On one hand, typically choosing control over agility is what leads to hampering the productivity at every level of the organization, from the employee to the manager and budget owner to the finance team. And this is what makes the business less responsive. This is how growth opportunities are missed, because the business is stuck in acting in unproductive and inefficient ways. The other is that typically when we pick agility over control, this is where you create the reconciliation nightmare. This is where you create the manual processes, the headaches, which ultimately, as really the second order impact, lead to difficulty in taking decisions based on accurate, real-time, complete data. It's just something that cannot happen. And this can be a meaningful cost to organizations. So we exist because we are here to introduce that playbook. So the playbook for how organizations can manage decentralized spend in such a way that they don't have to choose between agility and control, but they can have both. So I know it could sound a bit lofty, but this is really the overarching, if you will, proposition or theory around everything that we do. And it's good context, because the first thing I'm going to talk about, to bring it a little bit more concrete, is the world of decentralized purchasing, which fits within this domain. Decentralized purchasing. So here, what we're talking about are supplier payments. You're paying a supplier for typically goods and services. And as I mentioned, similarly to the mold I introduced before, there's a world of supplier payments that is low in volume and high in value. And this is the world of procurement, where the whole game is about, I've got a few suppliers, they are very expensive to me, and I'm going to do everything I can to either find better suppliers, negotiate those supplier relationships in order to progressively get savings over time. And that's one world. But then there's a whole other world which is composed of low value, high volume supplier payments, which instead present a whole different set of challenges, right? What we're going to do today is I'm going to walk through some of the things that we've heard in our analysis, sitting with customers, of their processes and how they manage these things today. And I hope it will challenge you and possibly inspire you to reimagine how some of these things are done within your own organization. When we talk about this area of supplier payments, the high volume, low value, I think there are, in an ideal world, two key things you want to achieve. One is you want fast execution, and the other one is that you want control, but you want proportionate control. When we talk about fast execution, what we mean is this high volume of supplier payments happens for a reason. It's tied to things that have to happen in the business. Typically, one of these supplier payments is the catalyst for something to happen within the business, whether it's a marketer that needs to organize that webinar or that campaign, or whether it's to pay that water bill or utility bill in order to unlock the construction site to continue going. Lots of examples, and they look very different in every organization. They have to move fast to keep the business moving. And then the second thing is control, as I mentioned. But the challenge with control in this area is because of the high volume, and because each of these payments by themselves is not worth very much, you can't afford to do too much control, right? It simply would be disproportionate. The cost, the process cost of looking after that payment wouldn't be able to pay itself back. So it's quite a challenging area that we look at, and it's payments that can take place through card or bank transfer. That doesn't matter, and that's what we've done in our platform, supporting both of these channels. To give some examples, it can be anything incurred in everyday operations, so from office and site supplies, maintenance and repairs, to business and admin compliance, the world of taxes, duties, government fees, these applications, utility bills. We've heard all sorts. And then I think more standard kind of ad hoc supplier spend. There are two truths about decentralized purchasing. The first one is these payments look very different in every organization. even within organizations in the same sector. And the other truth is that every organization has some form of this, though. Right? It's a universal truth. For some it will be bigger, for some it will be smaller, but it's an inevitable reality that you will incur in these types of payments over the course of doing business. And what we've observed speaking with you, and I'll get to that in a moment, is that the way these supplier payments are managed in the status quo sits in one of these two paradigms. So either they are pushed through the traditional procurement route, a procurement platform, the ERP, or whatever it is, and this comes at a big cost, because at the end of the day, you're applying a process to a payment that is relatively low in value, right? And sometimes you even get to the absurd situation where the admin cost actually exceeds the payment value. So this is really the core challenge with the first paradigm. And then the second paradigm is that you have a world where organizations are forced to choose agility over control just because the business has to keep moving. And instead, these supplier payments are managed through informal workarounds. We've heard bank transfers that have to be paid out of the pocket of the employees through their own personal accounts, approvals happening via WhatsApp. There's all sorts, right? But at the end of the day, you need something to make it happen. And this is a challenge for different reasons. It creates compliance risks, makes it difficult to reconcile these payments, and really you have a high risk of waste and abuse as well. So I don't know if this sounds familiar. I hope it resonates with some of you. And we'll talk about the types of companies we've spoken to where this is really a challenge. And in a way, it comes directly from the last user group and some other sessions that we've had, where we've heard about teams on one side, their finance teams being drowned in admin, managing low-value, non-strategic supplier payments instead of focusing on their most strategic suppliers, as well as people within departments waiting days in order for supplier payments to take place, which, as I said, can unlock critical business activities. On the other, we've also heard of situations where managing it informally can lead to processes that are not compliant with the standards of the organization, especially larger ones. And in any case, creating a lot of frustration and friction between teams that need to make things happen, but don't have an easy way to do so. We thought a lot about this, right? I mean, this is what we do. But we thought a lot about this, and we said if we had to reimagine this, probably there would be 4 key pillars that we would try to bring to the table in order to solve this problem. We would need something that enables that fast execution, no compromises on that, but at the same time enables control, right? You need to have that control. And a lot of what sits behind the way we think you can achieve that is by granting delegation, but at the same time preserving that control. You need real-time visibility in order to be reactive and keep at pace with the business. But importantly, you need to integrate everything with your existing tools and your existing technology stack. We're not here to replace procurement, right? We're here to complement procurement, and we're here to integrate with a lot of the other systems that exist within the organization. So that's how everything starts from the process, right? We started from the process, and then we thought about how this could play out in our platform, and this is exactly what we've done. And to give you some concrete examples, we have designed our platform in such a way to enable 2 primary types of processes. There are many more, but really this is just a flavor. On one hand, we can allow what we call ad hoc authorization, where the idea is that an employee can request to make a purchase. It can be routed, it can meet all the requirements, be routed through an approval flow, and ultimately be executed for payment either through a card that is ad hoc for that payment only, or set of payments only, or through bank transfers as well with our latest innovations. Or alternatively, we have designed processes are more flexible and designed for more frequent, lower risk payments, where instead an employee or group of employees can be granted within a perimeter of rules to create or to make payments with cards once again and bank transfers to then be reviewed after the fact. This are the basic building blocks of what we believe is the answer to decentralized purchasing and what we believe is a complement to many organizations' procurement systems. And the cool thing here is that you can mix and match, right? Every organization is going to look different. You might start with a more conservative approach, looking at things that always go through an approval. And then over time, you might decide that some segment of payments are actually better served if they can be more freely executed by that pub manager that sits on the ground all the way up north, or somebody managing a care home in a different district. So everything is designed to be very flexible, configurable, and to move fast within a perimeter of control. And we've spoken to some of you, others that are not here today, across various regions, and we think that this is particularly meaningful for organizations that have many sites. Once again, I'll cite the example of care groups. We've got some in attendance, but also businesses that operate in retail, facility management, and construction, where you need to be able to delegate the ability to make payments with cards and bank transfers more broadly. This is relevant to departments, marketing teams that need to make that spend happen. They have a long tail of supplier payments that need to be paid, and every day of delay is something that directly impacts the core output of what they do, their ability to generate, for example, pipeline or awareness for the business. And then finally, we've got ERP-heavy enterprises where they're maybe looking to offload the large volume, sometimes thousands a month, of bank transfer payments that need to take place through a leaner, more lightweight process in order to focus the energy of their teams where it's most needed. And here, once again, the impact can be significant. Here are some figures taking the example of an organization that was operating let's say, lived the first status quo, the one where everything was going through traditional procurement. Each one of those payments can be estimated to cost around €100, right, based on the research we've done with some leading institutions in this space. And we believe that we can reduce that process by up to 70 to 90%, something that can really add up the moment you have a lot of these high volume, low value transactions, but even well below the 3,000 threshold. Or what we're talking about in this particular segment is tied to one of our core spend domains, the one that I mentioned earlier, business travel and entertainment. And business travel and entertainment is interesting because while some of you that are here are actually using Soldo for completely different purposes, it's typically something that exists in almost every organization, right? It's a pretty pervasive form of decentralized spend. And what we find when you go out and really you survey the market, you speak to our customers and even our non-customers, is that there are different ways to manage the T&E spend today, but the most pervasive by far is the first one up here, which is the concept of an employee paying out of pocket with their personal card and then subsequently getting reimbursed, right? And there are good reasons for why this is the status quo. I really do think so. And ultimately, it boils down to the fact that for company spend in general, control is of the utmost importance, right? And with this type of process or mechanism, you can make sure that when employees are going out and spending for T&E, because it's first coming out of their own pocket, and you, let's say, have processes in place such that non-compliant spend won't get reimbursed to them, they'll think twice before spending non-compliantly, right? It is a way to ensure greater control. But I think what I want to do today, and it may be controversial to some of you, is challenge that assumption a little bit and instead paint a picture of what a different way of managing T&E spend could look like in organizations. And ultimately, if we think about this model, the model of employees paying out of pocket and being subsequently reimbursed, there are a number of challenges that come up. The first one impacting employees is the financial strain, right? They're paying out of their own pocket and sometimes waiting weeks, if not even months, to get reimbursed back. It's an experience that we all know, and it can be somewhat, go from being somewhat painful to being very painful and causing financial strain for employees, right? Especially depending on where they sit in the organization. A big challenge also with this approach typically that impacts both employees and finance teams is that there's a lot of manual processes associated with it. There's the manual work of compiling expense reports that sits with the employee, but then also the manual work that sits with finance teams to chase receipts and to reconcile receipts, transactions, and make it all work every month, right? It's a recurring headache. And finally, data is not available in real time at all, right? It will come when it comes, and it's often difficult for finance to really get a picture of what is going on in order to take decisions until it's way too late. It's kind of after the fact. So these are the three pillars of pain that I think are prevalent in the current way the T&E spend is managed within organizations. I don't know why this is showing up like this. Oh, perfect. So as I mentioned earlier, not everyone here is necessarily here for T&E. They may use Soldo for other use cases, but we know that T&E is quite pervasive. And the reality is that even in organizations that do solve the T&E problem with a company card proposition, whether it's Soldo or somebody else's, and some expense management tool, it's really only covering a portion of employees. The rest belong to the world of out-of-pocket and reimbursements. And so what I want to challenge you today, and what I will walk through just now, is why is the concept of giving everyone a card so controversial, right? Why is it so foreign? Why can we not just do that? And what does that mean? So imagine a world where every employee, the moment they become an employee of your company, in the same way that they receive their badge to get into the building, they receive a Soldo card, right? That's not the status quo of many organizations. And so I want to walk through some of the, let's say, objections that we might raise, that we personally have raised ourselves, because it's a problem that we faced as a company, and why shouldn't we, or why should we give every employee a card, and why does doing that actually not mean that you will lose control? And so the very first one that I want to touch on is, and that comes very naturally, is, okay, wait a second, but you're saying I give every employee a card, doesn't that mean that they all get access to company funds, right? That seems like too big of a risk. I think in the world of Soldo, what we've built in platforms similar to ours, the concept is the cards are not actually vessels of money, right? They are empty vessels. A card is a piece of plastic that enables payments, but it by itself is not a carrier of funds. And so with a platform like ours, you don't have to worry about this, because the reality is we've built everything in such a way that you will only give access to funds when you really want to, right? And according to the rules that you've decided. There could be recurring rules to top up the balance of the cards, but as Daniele mentioned earlier, talking about the business trip feature, you could actually give a card to an employee and give them access to funds only for a predefined amount of time. So from the 11th of May to the 15th of May, and that's it. Then the money gets withdrawn. And at any point, the cards can be frozen. So you do have a bit of control in this new world over giving employees direct access to company funds in a controlled way. Okay, so let's say that we understand that and we've given them access to funds, but how can we make sure that actually spend is going to happen compliantly, right? How is it not going to be a free-for-all? And here too, there are a number of tools that we can call, let's say, the chain of control that allows organizations to say, don't worry about it. Actually, there are ways that we can prevent that from happening, or at the very least, catch it immediately. So the first one is we can set up many spend controls, spend rules, which all of you will know very well, that kind of block out the main areas of misuse. So blocking out certain merchants, we don't want people going gambling, we don't want them necessarily withdrawing cash in certain circumstances. There's really quite a bit that can be configured. But even once you've done that, you can set up policies, right? That immediately, as soon as the payment has taken place, flag it as either being in policy or out of policy, so that if somebody is out of policy, it can be caught immediately and possibly justified or at least looked into. We've built our system in such a way that transactions that are higher risk, or really all transactions, if you like, can go through manager approvals and even higher levels of approval, ensuring that there is scrutiny for every transaction. And finally, and this is an underappreciated point, the moment that you enable payments to happen with a company card that the company has access to, for once in the world of T&E, you don't just have access to the receipt, right? That's what all of us are used to when you go out of pocket. You just give your receipt. You actually see the payment transaction as well, because you have access to the company card. And so the union of these two things is quite powerful in making sure that companies spend compliantly, because or in a compliant way, because it's much more difficult to cheat the system with, I mean, these days, AI-generated receipts, fake receipts, duplicate receipts, you name it, because you've got that transaction to back you up. And so what if someone still, even with all of this, they go ahead and they break the rules? Well, as I mentioned, they're going to get caught pretty easily, right? And we support some customers, and we'll talk about them in just a moment, actually with processes that connect directly to their payroll or various kind of bulk clawback methods in order to make sure that if non-compliant spend does occur, it can be pulled back immediately. But something that we observed with some of our customers is actually when they do set the system up in this way, somebody breaks the rules, they might do so at the beginning, but the reality is you very rarely have repeat offenders, because the moment that you catch them immediately and you manage that process through the payroll, and I'm sure there's going to be some sort of intervention by their manager or by the finance team, it's very difficult for somebody to, or it's very unlikely that somebody will repeat that behavior. So you're, in a way, encouraging the right behaviors just after a few iterations. And then there's more normal objections. Let's say you've gotten to the point where, okay, I'm convinced this can work. It's a way of accessing those benefits you talked about earlier, but at the same time not losing control. So won't this cost me a lot, right? I mean, I've got a lot of employees. Before I was giving cards to 50 people. Now you're saying give cards to 700 people. How does that work? Well, we've designed our latest plan, which has our latest features and which some of you are already on, to exactly with this purpose in mind. It costs just as much if you have 50 or 100 or 200 employees and users and cards on the system. The idea is that you don't need to think about per card fees. Everything is just unlimited, right? We want to encourage this type of behavior and make your what you pay to us much more predictable. And we've also invested a lot in making sure that this doesn't become an admin nightmare, right? We have organizations using our integrations with their HR systems of records to do cool things where employees are automatically onboarded and then offboarded from Soldo when they join and leave the company. We've got bulk actions facilitated by your CSMs or that you can manage yourselves to manage configurations in just seconds. And we've streamlined the user provisioning process to make it easy for people to get on board and start using Soldo. In a way, this was just a way to try to paint a different picture for how you might think about T&E spend management beyond the world of out-of-pocket and reimbursement. It's going to be something that we'll discuss in some of the sessions later, but really it rests on these three pillars. Granting one solution that is a fit for purpose for all types of employees and all types of needs, from frequent to infrequent travelers to contractors and temporary staff, while enabling control that is built in with all of the rules, policies, real-time visibility and processes that we have, we just mentioned earlier, actually heightening the level of control relative to the status quo, and importantly, removing reimbursements, enabling a better experience for employees, and reducing a lot of the manual work that is associated with these processes. So that's just some food for thought. And as I mentioned, I'm not going to spend a lot of time here because we'll have an opportunity to do so. But one of the key enablers that we have recently launched that facilitates this vision is exactly the idea of the business trip. So the idea that you can give access to funds to employees for a limited amount of time and within a framework of rules and controls. I will end by giving you the example of one of our customers, Giacala. They are based in Italy. That's where their HQ is, but they have 20 offices across the globe, actually. And they are a team of roughly 3,000 employees. They're specialists in marketing technology consulting. So if you need help with that, you should talk to them. They're quite good at what they do. And they came to us because they wanted to completely radically eliminate out-of-pocket payments and reimbursement and propose a different way of managing their T&E within the organization. And so actually what we've done with them is we've realized that vision. Every single Giacala employee, the moment they join the company, is granted access to a Soldo card. And the frequent travelers get monthly budgets. The infrequent travelers get access just for the trips that they need to make. All of this is synced tool. They're HR systems of record, and we've also gone the extra mile and actually branded the cards such that the Giacala logo is in the top right hand corner next to the Soldo logo. So that's a nice touch for any of you that are interested in this space. So there are proof points for this being the case. Soldo, that's how we operate internally. I hope this piqued your interest, or at least inspired you to think a little bit differently about the way you manage your T&E spend processes. So I'm going to end it here. Thank you.